Germany used somewhere around 2.75 million horses in the Second World War, and it was still using them in the last spring of it. Those animals pulled the field guns, the ration carts, and the ammunition of most German infantry divisions. And the army everyone pictures as a wall of tanks walked into the Soviet Union in 1941, behind roughly 600,000 of them, at the speed of a horse. American factories built around 2.5 million military trucks in the same war, handed more than 400,000 trucks and jeeps to the Red Army for nothing, and still equipped an army for 2 oceans at once. Now set that against something almost every Allied officer who faced the Germans admitted afterwards. Man for man, company for company, the German army was probably the finest fighting force on the field. It lost anyway, because a division that cannot be fed, moved, and refilled stops being a division somewhere around its second hard month, and no amount of tactical brilliance survives that. So these 9 armies get judged on the thing the horses and the trucks are really measuring, not who fought best on their best day. Who could absorb a catastrophe and put a fed, armed, properly led army back into the same ground the following year? Italy could not manage it for 1 campaign. China did it for 8 years with almost nothing. America did it 3,000 miles from its own coastline. Worst to best, starting now. 9th place goes to Italy, and it belongs there for reasons that have very little to do with the courage of the men wearing the uniform. The Folgore Parachute Division held its stretch of the line at El Alamein against repeated British attacks until it was effectively destroyed, without armor support and on short water. The Ariete Armored Division fought there until it stopped transmitting. Those are not the actions of a bad army. They are the actions of good soldiers inside a broken machine. Italy went to war in June 1940 with something like 70 divisions on the books, and, by its own army's internal assessments, fewer than 20 of them genuinely ready for a modern European war. Most of the rest were binary divisions, 2 infantry regiments instead of 3. A reorganization that let the regime count more divisions on a map without producing more fighting power on the ground. Italian industry could not build enough trucks to move them, enough radios to coordinate them, or enough anti-tank guns to protect them. An army that cannot replace what it loses ranks low. An army that cannot supply what it already has never gets far enough to find out. 8th, Romania, and this entry shows what the standard actually costs. Romania put the largest Axis army after Germany's into the Soviet Union, fought hard at Odessa and Sevastopol, and the oil at Ploiesti was keeping German engines turning at all. The soldiers were not the problem. Their equipment was. The Romanian 3rd and 4th Armies were holding the flanks north and south of Stalingrad in November 1942, on open steppe, with anti-tank guns of 37mm that could not stop a T-34 at any range. The crews were likely to survive. General Petre Dumitrescu asked for that flank to be reinforced before the blow landed, and it was not. Operation Uranus was aimed at the Romanians deliberately, rather than at the German 6th Army, because they were the part of the line that would break. And it took about 4 days to close a ring around 250,000 Axis troops. Romania's losses in that campaign came to something around 150,000 men. It never rebuilt to the same strength, and in August 1944, it changed sides. That is the failure. This ranking exists to catch. An army whose fate was settled by a supply decision taken in another country's headquarters. About weapons, it was never going to be given. The next 3 armies have reputations pointing the wrong way. 2 are remembered as far more dangerous than they were. 1 is remembered as far less. 7th, Japan, and the first half of this entry is genuinely frightening. Yamashita's force came down the Malay Peninsula partly on bicycles, moved through jungle British planners had written off as impassable, and took Singapore from a garrison that outnumbered it. Around 80,000 Commonwealth troops surrendered there, the largest capitulation in British military history. As light infantry, at short range, in bad terrain, this was the best army in the world. Then the war went past 30 days. Japan had built a force with almost no logistics arm worth the name, on a doctrine holding that will and speed would substitute for supply. On Guadalcanal, its own soldiers renamed the place Starvation Island. At Imphal and Kohima in 1944, General Mutaguchi pushed an offensive into India carrying roughly 3 weeks of rations, intending to capture the rest from British depots. When the depots did not fall, his army came apart on the retreat, and Japan lost the better part of 3 divisions. The historian Akira Fujiwara put the share of Japanese military deaths caused by starvation and disease at around 60% of the total. That is not a failure of fighting spirit. It is an army that never built the machinery to keep its own soldiers alive long enough to fight. 6th, France, and the myth. Here is that it fell in 1940 because its army was decadent, unwilling, or badly armed. The equipment says otherwise. French tank strength in May 1940 was comparable to Germany's and heavier at the top end. And the Char B-1 bis and the Somme S-35 carried armor and guns that German panzers of that summer struggled to answer. At Hanut in Belgium, French mechanized cavalry fought the largest tank battle anyone had seen to that point and gave better than it got. Around 60,000 French soldiers were killed in 6 weeks. Nobody dies at that rate for a country they have refused to fight for. What France did not have was a nervous system. Its doctrine was the methodical battle, a rhythm measured in days while the Germans were operating in hours. Its tanks were parceled out to infantry support instead of concentrated. Many had no radio, and neither did General Gamelin's headquarters at Vincennes, which took the news of the German crossings on the Meuse by telephone and motorcycle courier. France committed its strategic reserve, lost it, and found nothing standing behind it. The better tank park lost in 6 weeks because the army could not move information faster than the enemy moved divisions. 5th, and this is the placement that will fill the comment section, China. The Chinese Nationalist Army was, by every technical measure on this list, the weakest force in the war. Its conscription system was closer to abduction, with enormous numbers of men dying of disease and hunger before they ever saw a Japanese soldier. It had almost no artillery, almost no armor, no dependable ammunition supply, and after 1938, it had lost its capital, its coastline, and the arsenals that made its shells. It kept fighting for 8 years anyway, and that is the whole argument. At Taiyuan in 1938, Chinese armies encircled and mauled 2 Japanese divisions in a clean victory nobody predicted. Across the whole war, China held more than 1 million Japanese troops on the mainland, 1 million men not defending any island the Americans had to take. The ceiling was real, and Japan found it in 1944 with Operation Ichigo, 500,000 men and the largest offensive of Japan's entire war, which tore the Nationalist Front open and took central China with it. China ranks above France for one reason. France had everything an army needs, except the ability to survive one lost battle. China had none of it, lost dozens, and was still in the field in 1945. The next 2 armies solved the supply problem. Only one of them solved it all the way to its own border. 4th, Britain and the Commonwealth, which is a coalition wearing one uniform. India alone raised something around 2.5 million men, the largest volunteer army in history, and Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa put formations into every theater Britain fought in. What that army eventually became superb at was gunnery. By 1944, a British division could bring every gun it owned onto one map reference within minutes of the request, and if the request went high enough, every gun in range across the corps. German officers who survived it described the speed of British artillery as the most alarming thing they met in the West. Getting there took years. The first half of Britain's war is a list of defeats: Norway, Greece, Crete, Malaya, Tobruk. Then it hit the ceiling that keeps it 4th. Britain ran out of men. In August 1944, with the campaign in France still running, the 59th Division was broken up entirely, and its infantry fed into other divisions to keep them at strength. No other Western army had to dismantle a division to keep the rest functioning. Britain was winning and shrinking at the same time. Third, Germany. If that number annoys you, the rest of the entry will annoy you more, because the case for the German army is real. It rebuilt divisions better than anybody. A shattered division was pulled out of the line, kept its number and its surviving cadre of officers and sergeants, and was refilled with recruits from the same region of Germany, trained in the rear by men from that same division. New soldiers arrived into a unit that already expected them. It is the most effective replacement system any army ran in this war, and it is why German divisions kept performing above their paper strength years after the men who founded them were dead. It also gave junior officers room nobody matched, handing a lieutenant the objective rather than the method, which is why improvised battle groups kept fighting long after their parent formations had ceased to exist. None of it reached far enough back. Germany produced something in the region of 350,000 military trucks across the entire war against America's 2.5 million, and everything else moved behind those horses. German army returns from the spring of 1942 rated only a handful of the more than 160 divisions in the East as fully fit for offensive operations. Superb at the regiment, hopeless at the railhead, this war was decided at the railhead, which leaves the two armies that could absorb a catastrophe on purpose. Second, the Soviet Union, and the case begins with the worst opening year any army has survived. German records claimed more than 3 million Soviet prisoners taken in 1941 alone. Krivoshev's Soviet figures put irrecoverable losses for that year above 3 million men, on top of most of the tank park, most of the Air Force, and an officer corps the country's own government had already been shooting. Every army above this one would have ended there. Instead, armies appeared in front of Moscow that December, which had not existed in June. That is this ranking's standard, met at a scale nothing else approaches. A mobilization system that could raise, arm, and move whole field armies faster than the enemy could destroy them. And it learned. The Red Army of 1944 ran deception operations at front level, massed hundreds of guns per kilometer on breakthrough sectors, and timed offensives across separate fronts to drag German reserves the wrong way. Operation Bagration in June 1944 destroyed Army Group Center outright, somewhere around 30 German divisions gone in weeks. It sits second rather than first for two reasons its own veterans would concede. It fought one enemy, on one landmass, its own. And a great deal of that fighting was done in American trucks, on American rations. First, the United States, which in 1939 had an army usually ranked somewhere around 17th in the world by size, behind Romania's. The same Romania sitting 8th on this list. 6 years later, it had fully equipped formations, fighting in North Africa, Sicily, Italy, France, Germany, and across the Pacific simultaneously, at the end of a supply line that started 3,000 miles behind the front. It was not the best army in the field, and it knew it. Its first real fight against the Germans, at Kasserine Pass in 1943, was a beating. Its individual replacement system was wasteful and cruel, sending a new man alone into a rifle company where nobody knew his name, and those men died at markedly higher rates than the veterans beside them. It left divisions in the line for months instead of rotating them, because it had chosen to build only 89 of them. The artillery ammunition shortage in Europe in the autumn of 1944 was real, and gunners were rationed. Rationed is not the same word as empty. Every one of those 89 divisions got fed, fueled, re-equipped, and reinforced across an ocean, and so, in large part, did the British and Soviet armies. When American infantry wanted a problem removed, they called artillery that answered in minutes, and air support that answered the same day, while the shells for it had crossed the Atlantic weeks earlier. 9 armies, and the order has almost nothing to do with who you would rather have had beside you in the trench. Man for man, that is probably still the German infantryman, and he lost. The Italian conscript at 9th was not a worse soldier than the American at 1st. His country sent him into a modern war with a 2-regiment division, no trucks, and no anti-tank gun. Armies are not brave or cowardly. They are machines for turning a country's population and industry and railways into fed men holding loaded weapons in the right place at the right time, and this war went to the nations that built the better machine. 2 deliberate exclusions. Finland is not here, and it is the one I expect to hear about, because the Finnish army of the Winter War was arguably the finest small army of the period. It is out because it fought one enemy on its own ground across a front narrower than a single Soviet strategic operation, and this ranking is about holding a global war together for years. The Waffen-SS is not ranked separately either, because it was never a national army. It was a formation inside the German system that got equipment before the regular army did, and its reputation reads differently once you know what it was handed first. If you think Finland earned the slot, or you want to argue Germany out of 3rd, that is what the comments are for. Small channel, and I read every one myself. Subscribe, because destroyer classes are next.